Hey, it's Checkmate, and welcome back to Die in the Dungeon. Today I have gathered the fastest speedrunners in the community to put together the comprehensive guide to speedrunning Die in the Dungeon. We're active on the official game Discord, so come on and join the fun, and I'll link our speedrun.com leaderboard in the description below so you can check out the top runs and add your own. If you're still trying to get the Speedhopper Achievement, this video is for you. I'm going to teach you the tips and tricks and the meta of speedrunning the game. So first, let's start off with these not so well kept secrets. Of course, make sure you're familiar with the speedrun categories and rules on speedrun.com, but just as a reminder, the any percent category does not care what difficulty you play on, so make your life easier and play on D0. So make sure that your game speed in the menu is set to fast. That makes such a huge difference. And also make sure the in-game timer is visible. And then just keep in mind there are sometimes some performance issues after restarting over and over and over again. So if you notice the loading screen's taking a really long time or a lot of times between restarting your runs, just go ahead and full quit the game and restart it. That'll help keep some of those performance issues down. Now, with that out of the way, I know why you're here. You want to learn about Quickdraw. This is the speedrun meta, and it is the way that people achieve mind-blowing times. To execute Quickdraw, make sure you have a draw die which either has flash on it or that you play on Lisver's haste spot. That gives you a lot of draw modifier right at the beginning. Then you have a D4 attack die or otherwise an attack die that costs 0 energy with flash on it, and you play your flash attack, draw it back in, play it again. You just repeat that until everything is defeated. So there's variations in where to place it, how to make your boost die target it to make sure that things die quickly, but this maneuver is the core of the speedrun meta. Alright, let's talk about the map. Map RNG is probably one of the biggest impacts on if a run will be successful or not. However, even on a good map, you'll need to make sure that you're choosing proper paths for speed. Make sure to avoid battles, and definitely avoid elite battles at all costs. You want shreds, you want heals, you want events. These are things that are going to let you click through menus without having to do an entire battle. Even with Quickdraw, battles are a time sink. Make sure you kind of know where your shops are at. After every so often on the map, you get a potion shop or a forge. The potion shop will give you potions, but more importantly, that's where you can potentially find flash, and the forge is where you get relics and can upgrade your dice. And quick pro tip for the forge. When you're upgrading your dice, you can alternate your left and right clicking to upgrade the dice even faster. You can see Chives using this method, and it looks like he has an auto clicker on, he's going so fast. However, a lot of times on speedruns, once you're very optimized, you actually skip through a lot of the shops. There are 3 areas to the game. Area 1 is the most important. It's where majority of the speedrun setup should happen and where your deck should have the most work. If you're really going hard, you'll probably know by about Area 1 whether you should continue the run or just give up. Area 2 is where you put the finishing touches on your deck with like final upgrades, discarding your hand to make sure you have a manageable amount of dice in your deck, and hopefully by this point you have Quickdraw if you're running Lisver. At Area 3, you should be basically done. You should have your Quickdraw deck complete. You should not have to be building your deck anymore or deciding what to take or what not to take. You should be able to make it through the area battles as well, hopefully avoiding as many as possible. Again, if you're running Quickdraw, you won't have a problem with the battles. It'll just take extra time. I mentioned making sure to manage your deck. Keeping your deck small and consistent is the most important piece of the speedrun. You want to make sure that every time you enter a battle, you know exactly which dice are going to be drawn in and which dice you're going to play. You also want to make sure that your dice are strong enough to get you through any battles that you happen to find. Again, with Quickdraw, it's especially important to have like 5 dice or even less because you're really just playing the attack die over and over and you need to draw it in immediately. When you're building for Quickdraw, you really only need to add 1 extra die to your deck. That's your draw die. These are usually D8s and they usually have class on them. Although certain events you can get them as a dice reward, you can even get them as D4s or hollows, which is pretty nice. Now, we'll use Lisver's deck as an example here. On your first shred tile, you really want to discard one of your D6 boost die, or you can discard the attack die, which doesn't have toxic on it. It's not very helpful. The second shred tile, you want to discard the other die that you didn't do last time. Now, shred tiles are pretty scarce, but if you get another shred tile offered, you should go ahead and discard the heal die. This will free up 1 extra spot in your deck and give you that nice hand size of 5 with your draw die. I mentioned before, but hopefully by Area 1 you have your Quickdraw and your main deck all in order. but don't be surprised if you have to do a little bit of work in Area 2 to get that deck finalized. Now we'll go over the meta. The meta, capital The, the one for any percent, any frog, any difficulty, definitely Lisver with winged sandals. This is how you get Quickdraw. What winged sandals does is it gives you a starting haste spot, which basically is a free flash, very rare to get, very powerful. Because of some weird bug-like behavior, if you end up putting flash on your draw die or flash on your attack die and play that flash die on the haste spot, it actually plays it twice. So very powerful starting relic and very good for speedrunning. You want to try to find a draw die. They're mostly going to be D8s. You can find them in dice rewards. A lot of times they have glass, but rarely you can get them with hollow. And there's some events where you can get them as a D4 variant. In a pinch, before you've gotten your draw dice, working your way through the battles, you can actually use things like Counterfeit Note to spend money to draw and get quick draw going that way to get through battles faster. Or you can use like a potion, like a bonus potion, to get some extra draw before you actually have your draw die. Your D4 attack is going to be the one you want to be drawing and playing, so really look out for flash anywhere you can. There is an event that gives you a random property, so look for that one. Hopefully it's flash, but there's a chance that is a slim chance because it could be a different property as well. Definitely make sure to keep an eye out for the shops. That's probably the main source of flash, unfortunately, but it's also very rare. So once you put flash on the D4 attack, that is a free die to play. It goes directly in your bag. As long as you have some sort of draw, you can draw it back in. Keep playing it over and over again. That's going to be the die that you want to upgrade in the forge. So use your free silver upgrade to get the faces on that a little bit higher, because when you add in relics like Mark of the Chosen One or Equestrian Peace, even one value extra really helps out with those multipliers. All right, next fastest currently is Cinder, and there's a couple different ways that you can play Cinder. None of them are as fast as the current world record quick draw run, but with the right RNG, it can be pretty powerful. Pick the Hidden Ace Relic. That's going to be the best one for speedrunning by giving you a free draw and also can give you extra energy from time to time. There's two different ways to take Cinder, and one of them is actually to do quick draw with Cinder, and it takes extra work because Cinder doesn't have a D4 attack. Instead, she has a D8 splash attack. So you're kind of working against her starting deck to implement quick draw. But it is possible, and Hidden Ace kind of gives you a start in that direction because it gives you an extra draw just for free right at the beginning. So there's some pros and cons to that. You can also, it doesn't have to be pure quick draw because that D8 is powerful enough that if you put a hollow so it doesn't cost quite as much energy and a flash on it, you can still play it, once, twice, maybe 3 times, right? Depending on what your source of draw is and that type of thing. With the right relic combination, or otherwise can do a pretty big amount of damage in the first area and second area. If you're running Cinder, you really want to hit an early event, which will give you Mark of the Chosen One. That one paired with the D8 splash attack, what you're doing is you're optimizing for overall higher rolls on Cinder with that D8 die to basically play one die, have some multipliers happen so that there's enough damage that kind of wipes enemies out very early. And it's very effective on Area 1 and even Area 2 sometimes. In Area 2, even though the health is still decently low, you get these stupid bees and ants rooms together which destroy Mark of the Chosen One. It's very RNG dependent, and again, you're working against her deck if you're going the quick draw route. Now, the other method of trying to go fast with Cinder, which is still pretty RNG dependent, but it is a little more consistent, is you use a mirror die and the D8 splash attack. Again, you're trying to basically get a large enough area damage effect that you can kill floors in, about one hit or so. Works pretty well on the Area 1, Area 2, but then by the time you get to Area 3, the enemies start to have a lot more tankiness and it takes multiple turns to get through, which means you might not survive or it'll at least take a long time to get through the fight. Using Cinder's area attacks can be an effective way to get through battles quickly. Again, it just comes down to RNG, what the map looks like, what the rewards look like. Now we get to Mango, and Mango is not the fastest. If you want to speedrun Mango, go ahead. You're not going to get the any percent world record though. I'll give you a hint with that. Mango has a lot of D8 dice, and her starting deck is pretty strong because they're D8 and heavy. So once you play them once, they stay locked on the board for subsequent turns. However, for speedrunning, you don't want to have a lot of turns in battle. You want to kill everything turn one or get through all the fights as quick as possible. The closest thing that you have to Mango Meta is using the flash heavy tungsten hand. So make sure you select Tungsten Hand if you're trying to speedrun Mango. You have Flash on a die and also Heavy. You play the Flash attack on the board, it gets played immediately and gets glued down to the board because it's heavy. Then Tungsten Hand lets you pick it up once and play it down again on the board. Basically, you can attack like twice with the same D8 die. So decently powerful. That is the way that you'll want to get through battles quickly, is look for Flash, put it on your D8 attack, get rid of the D8 block. That's just noise. It clogs up your hand. That means you don't draw a different die, and it costs a lot of energy. Use your Flash Heavy on your attack. Maybe you can get a terrain die with Flash on it, so you can play your terrain die with Flash. Place down your Flash Heavy attack on that terrain spot to give it a little extra push, and maybe you get Mark of the Chosen One, because that's always a great relic. Spam that down a couple times, get through the fights fairly quickly, but not as quickly as Cinder, because Cinder has area damage, and not as quickly as Lisver, because Lisver has Quickdraw meta baked in pretty well. There's kind of a rundown of the characters. Take your pick. That being said, there is a lot of space on the leaderboard, because even if you don't get the top time, well, you can still do your best. You should do your best. And then you can go try to get the fastest time for Mango, or the fastest time for Cinder, or you can go up to D1 difficulty and get the fastest time there. There's a lot of room on the leaderboard. You could hold a world record until Chives comes and takes it from you. So let's talk about events. A lot of these event choices are specifically tailored for Lisver, but they're more or less accurate for any speedrun that you do. And the important thing with the events is just to be familiar with them. Actually memorize them. Most of the time, you're picking static options that always give you something good or something neutral, basically get you out of the event fast. Let's go through them one by one. For the abandoned houses, take the first option if it's Flash. If it's not Flash, take the second option and try to get a hollow draw die. If you already have a draw die, then just take the third option and get out of there. For Arrow Trap, always take the second option. The damage is better than getting a pointy property put on a dice, which could go randomly on the wrong dice and completely destroy your run. Also, the roll on the event is pretty easy, so it's not like you're likely to lose health. On the Cry for Help, take the third option because you either get your coins or you just don't get a reward. For the Fairy Wish, always take the first option. For speedrunning, you always be attacking. The first option there gives you a chance to get Mark of the Chosen One. So that is so good. You could actually spend your time farming that event before you actually start your speedrun in earnest. Just that relic is so good. For the Fight or Flight event, the third option has no reward and just gets you out of the event quickly. But if you take the first option, you'll get an enemy battle, which could be a beetle or could be a mimic, but you get the counterfeit note, which is a way to get quick draw. So kind of keep that in mind. For Fractured Stone, take the second option. It's a lot of money unless you're going to die. Then take the third option. For Sacred Bubbles, take the third option, just get free HP. For the Spider's Nest, take the first option. The relics that event gives you are pretty lame and are not going to help you be fast. On the Stingy Shopkeeper, take the third option. This event is found early and can give you coins. The Pacifist Dogma is not going to be that bad after Area 1, and especially if you have Quick Draw, the other options just don't give you anything good. For Terrorizing Encounter, take the second option. It gives you Hollow. I've actually got a note here from Chive specifically saying, put the Hollow on the D6 block die. The block is going to help out with some extra protection, which you can play for free, but most importantly, this gesture-proofs you. For the Collector, just be fast. You might get a free relic. Just don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. For the event Unfinished Meal, take the first option for free max HP, and it's faster. On the Warrior Statue, take the third option for Melting Knife. That gives you a boost to attack, and we'll always be attacking. The first option there is Crimson Blade, which gives you a slightly bigger boost, but that gets a little bit dangerous if you're losing health every battle. Relic Merchant. This guy, he is like my favorite. You got a relic that adds no value to your run, and you want 20 coins? Choose that first option. Do you want to hold tightly to all your relics in the fetal position while saying, "My precious"? then take the second option and tell the merchant to go back from whence they came. Alright, then the Jester event. Choose the third option and discard a die with properties. Now, you probably already got rid of your heal die, but otherwise get rid of it now. And then this is where that Jester proofing on your block die comes in handy, because then you can discard that. You can get rid of your toxic attack die, but 1 out of 1 world record holders advise against it. You don't need block, you're a speedrunner. We're getting close to the end of this event list, and some of these are starting to be newer events that came in more recent updates and happen later in Area 3, so you may not see these as frequently. So just try to keep these tips in mind to move through them as quickly as possible and extract the best rewards. For the second collector event, just take the third option to skip and move on. For the Dice Magician, it doesn't matter what you click because you can just skip past the dice and he doesn't transform anything. On the Mirror to Purgatory, just go ahead and skip that guy, get some max HP, and have a nice day. Neriton Crystals, pick any option, skip that option, and don't make any changes to your deck. For the Multicolored Totem, take the third option. It has the highest level of success. If you fail, you'll want to try to get rid of that curse die. It's not the worst thing to have a Sting and some other variant in your deck, but it is kind of annoying. On the Luck Machine, choose the last option. The success is no reward. The fail is you have to give Faulty to one of your dice. Just throw it on one of those boost dice. You don't need to modify your deck anymore. On the Sauna Lake, just choose to move on and skip the event. The Potion Cauldron, choose the last option because you're trying to succeed in the event, which has pretty good odds, and you want to avoid triggering a battle. For the Clone Machine event, only take the first option if you have plenty of HP. If you have Mark of the Chosen or Equestrian Piece, these are the relics you want to duplicate. You'll notice the difference. Otherwise, just take the chance, pick the second option and duplicate one of your relics randomly for free. In the 2 Flowers event, take the first option. You'll get the Magnificent Flower in Area 2, which will be really helpful to get through Area 2. And by the time it turns into Withered Flower in Area 3, you should have Quickdraw with Lisver, and you won't have to worry about boost dice at all. For the Relic Disaster event, just take the second option. You don't need to know what's in that chest. And the Endless Corridor. It's probably the biggest speedrun skip that exists in the game. It's only in Area 3, and what you're trying to do is fail the event. You run straight to the boss, skipping over every tile, every battle in the way. But in this case, if you have only 3s on your boost die, then pick the second option and you're guaranteed to fail. You can encounter this event somewhere in Area 3. A lot of times you're only skipping a couple tiles, but even then, those could be really annoying battles that you skipped and go straight to the boss. But this event is possible pretty early. Check out this clip from Chives where he ends up skipping almost all of Area 3 with this event. Let's talk about potions. These can help you out, get you out of a jam, and be pretty helpful in the right scenarios, but really don't spend a lot of time overthinking it. Here are the ones that you should keep an eye out for. The Boost Potion is always good. The Mighty Potion is always good. Basically, use that potion for a quick boost in attack power. The Bonus Potion is pretty situational. That's the one that gives you draw. If you have your flash attack free die already, but don't have a draw die, then this one's pretty good because you can get a little bit of quick draw before you actually get your deck in order. The Block and Heal Potions, don't pick those up unless you're basically dead and absolutely need it. And the Brewmaster is pretty good paired with certain other potions. So these are the basic potions. Any other potions that I didn't mention, just ignore those. Those are not going to help you in your speedrun. Now, the boss potions that you get from defeating Area 1 and Area 2 are pretty powerful, and you should grab those and hopefully get good ones that you can take to the final boss. Of course, we have to mention the Super Ghost Potion. Always take it if offered after Area 1. If you have that potion, you really just want to look for Brewmaster and Super Brewmaster. Once you take those potions and use the Super Ghost Potion, the final boss just gets obliterated. The Super Jester Potion is kind of a fun one. You can try this one as well, especially if you already have Equestrian Piece or Mark of the Chosen one. In one of the very few battles that you should be fighting, take all of the dice except for your D4 attack and put them onto the board. Then down your Jester Potion and cross your fingers. If you are successful and you achieve the potion's goals, then your D4 attack can actually roll 8s. Now, if you happen to have a Brewmaster, you might as well take it first, just so you can have a higher chance of succeeding, but we like gambling. Boosted Super Potion is very nice. You can add it to other boost potions and brewmasters for a larger effect. Same with the Mighty Super Potion. It's not as powerful as the Boosted Super Potion because it can only give you 10 Mighty, but it is still pretty powerful. The Verdant Super Potion, kind of the same way, but instead of boosting your boost die, it just boosts some spots on your board. If you're offered the Fireball Super Potion, you might as well just use it immediately in the opening battle of the next area. It's okay, it's just not a lot of damage in that one. And hopefully you don't get offered the Super Haste Potion, Green Soul, or Blue Soul Potions because those are just not worth it for speedrunning. Now let's talk about the top relics for speedrunning. Now, of course, this entire time I've been singing the praises of Mark of the Chosen One and Equestrian Piece. It wasn't the original intent or design of the relic, but I am super pleased that the relic that is a reference to me ended up being one of the top speedrun relics. That is fun. Another top tier, amazing relic is the Insect Repellent. And what that does is all of the question mark, unknown random tiles on the board will no longer be battles. That is huge for a speedrun because you're trying to avoid the battles. Those all become events, which are fine. We just talked about how to memorize all of those, or free heal spots, shred spots. That's an amazing one if you can manage to get it. There's of course some really good ones like Blinding Light Bulb and Trembling Chair that go really well with Flash, especially with Quickdraw when you're playing that same Flash attack over and over and over again. Those small effects really add up. So to kind of aid in explaining this, here is a tier list, which at this point will become the official Die in the Dungeon speedrunning tier list. Let's talk about the remaining relics on here. So of course, Mark of the Chosen One, Equestrian Piece, always take. There at the top is also Moon Chakram. Every time that you draw a die, you deal damage randomly, which if you're using Quickdraw, you're drawing a lot, and otherwise that's just 5 free attacks right at the beginning of every battle. The Extremist Aura is really nice because that gives you some consistency. You can make the first and last face of the die roll the highest, and then you always roll the highest face. The Wanderbot Helmet, that's a pretty nice one. You generally only have 1 block die in your deck, if you have block at all, and so that's just pure attack power that's added to it. We talked about the Insect Repellent, that's super powerful. There's Withered Flower, which is, or not Withered Flower, Magnificent Flower, which gives you some really nice boost and is available from an event in Area 2. There's the Melting Knife, we talked about that event. And then Providential Vial means turn 1, all the dice that you draw, drawn on their highest face. This last icon here is actually a curse, which is an always take. It's actually kind of funny. We talked about that event. You get a lot of money in exchange for that. So these next ones are nice to have. By no means do you need to memorize all of these, but if you see them, you just grab them, right? Heroic Backpack and Liquid Karma, which help you out with draw. There's kind of that Prismatic Mango and Raincoat, which those help a little bit with survivability. So all of these are net positive relics that don't hurt your build and either give you a slight boost in damage or give you a little bit extra survivability, or otherwise kind of help you manage your deck until you can get the streamlined quick draw. Now the next row, keep these in mind. These are don't take. Definitely don't take these. They will wreck your speed run. The Muffin means on turn 1 you can't deal any damage, which is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to deal all the damage on turn 1. Determination Juice, you get that one from an event. That one's garbage. That actually slows you down. It's not just garbage. Every time whenever you place that first die on the board, it takes time to re-roll it. That's bad. Same thing with the next one, Corrupted Mushroom. That one rolls at the beginning of the battle and does damage. Those are both really bad reasons to take it, so don't take it. Withered Flower. If you take Withered Flower, you're making your area too hard, and you don't need Magnificent Flower in Area 3. Sticker Pack, that ruins the dice that you draw, so don't take it. The Exchange Ring, or Ring of Exchange, I forget what it's called exactly, but this one will give you a boost if you roll a 4 or higher, but if you roll a 3 or lower, it subtracts value. So especially with your quick draw, that'll take your quick draw from, dealing a little bit of chip damage to dealing like no damage. So don't take it. Shadow Cloak. This one gives you Fortify. You probably aren't going to have a block die at all. And if you do, you're not going to be using a lot of block. And that just deals damage at the beginning of every turn. Don't take it. Definitely don't take the egg. You want to have a very well-managed, consistent deck. And if you take the egg, you're going to have to pick up dice and throw it into your deck. Don't do it. That's not good for speedrunning. Situational. Keep an eye on these, right? I would say probably don't take them until you know what you're doing with them. But you got Counterfeit Note. That's an event that can be pretty good because then you can basically cheat a quick draw in. Crimson Blade is more powerful than Melting Knife, but comes with some downsides, so you're probably more likely to kill yourself or get yourself in trouble with that one. The Mercenary License, that one can be super powerful if you're rolling 6s, because that will give you an extra 6 value. Blindfold of Rage, that one is very powerful in the right situation. That's one of the ways you can use to kind of cheat some quick draw into Cinder's deck, because you put Hollow and Flash on her D8 splash attack die, and then you also grab the Blindfold of Rage. That die now becomes 0 and you have quick draw. Downside is you can't select which enemies to target. So if you don't have your quick draw ready and you can't, consistently kill any floor, that could be a huge liability. Munchable Dopamine comes from an event. You can just get free max HP from that event. If you're playing a certain way, you can get more max HP from Munchable Dopamine, but chances are you're taking hits during your battles, or you're not going to have that many battles anyway. And then the reverse is true for the Red Marker, because that one gives you a boost to your attack whenever you have low health. I generally like that one. That one's kind of nice. I wouldn't recommend specifically going low health to get use of the Relic, but I would take it if it was offered, because then if I do get low health for whatever reason, that makes me kill the enemies faster. Anyway, this is the tier list. So thank you to the community. Thank you to Chives. Let's go ahead and give shoutouts, right? This video was brought to you by the Die in the Dungeon speedrun community. The way you can repay them: becoming a speedrunner, record your run, put it on speedrun.com, take a screenshot, throw it into the Discord and chat. Of course, shout out to Chives. He is the current world record runner. He has been a big source of some of the meta that we've discussed and trying to teach other players how to speedrun. He actually has a guide, if you join the Discord, that explains in detail Lisver Meta in more detail than we went to in this video. Shout out to Seven, another very fast speedrunner. Basically is the one testing Chives right now, trying to push him to be better. Has gone back and forth on some of the world records. Maybe he has world record by this time, who knows? But he's contributed as well to some of the info. Shout out Small Wheat. He's on the leaderboard. I think he's the Mac record holder right now. So he's rocking the trackpad. Got the Relic, that tier maker. I think he got that one ready. I think the actual tier list that I used came from Chives, but I think Small Wheat made the actual tier list. He is the main contributor of the memes. So shout out to Small Wheat for the memes. Then High 75, we have Small Wheat's Nemesis. He might be the world record Mac holder, I'm not sure. But anyway, thanks to him as well for contributing, adding in tips, adding in memes. Really group effort here. So happy speedrunning. If you like this guide, make sure to subscribe and maybe I'll make another one. 1.0 update comes out. It's probably going to change the meta again and we'll need another guide. This is like my third or fourth video guide that I've made. And if it does well, then I'll keep doing this.